Hello and welcome to another edition of Wardy's Waffle. You'll see behind me I'm not at the farm today, and that's because today is part one of my visit to Newark sugar beet factory. You can see here the sign behind me. Here is the factory behind me. The entrance I'm stood at here on the road is not the main entrance where the sugar beet comes in. That is about 500 metres up that road. But here is where the animal feed comes out. It's the staff entrance and other deliveries and things like that. So that's this entrance. So the update we've got today is part one, and this is outside the factory as such, not right inside the building. And this covers the intake, it covers the weighbridge, it covers the sampling, and all how the beet is stored and how the sugar beet actually gets into the factory. We go through a lot of facts and figures, statistics, look at the number of loads in a day as well. And you can see the factory running here behind me. So without any more now from me on the intro, let's get into this week's update. Hope you enjoy it. Please come back with any questions if you have any, and please click like, subscribe and the bell icon to alert you when I post my videos. And here we go with part one of the visit to Newark sugar beet factory. We have to sign in for start and get all the high-vis on, so this is where we do that. Here we are in the factory. I've got Matt Evans, who is our fieldsman and looks after our account. We've got James here, and your title is Agricultural Operator, and we've got Claire, who's Communications Manager, looking after us for the day. I'll put my hat square. And so yeah, we're on the weighbridge site here where the lorries are coming in. You can see a lot of activity here at the moment, and we'll have a look round in the factory, and the sampling's done a bit further up. Yeah, so the lorry comes on the weighbridge.
And this is where the transaction comes, so they swipe the grower card and the haulier card.
Yeah. How many lorries a day do you roughly have in?
About 400.
Crikey. So 400 times 29 tonnes, that's some beet.
The 12,000 tonne-ish a day.
Yeah.
Build stocks for the weekend.
Yeah. So what's the driver do there? He has to put his own details in?
Yes, it's two cards. A grower card, vehicle card, and then it produces a ticket, a weighing ticket, and if a sample is required, it produces a sample ticket as well.
Right, yeah.
If you've got a sample ticket, it then tells to take it to the sampler for the sample to be taken.
Yeah, yeah. So these are the cards that everybody has,
yeah.
And we have one as well. The drivers have them and they scan them, and that's where they scan them there. You can see there the driver's got his there. This is our grower card with our address on and the barcode linked to us. So do all the drivers have one of these cards?
Yes.
Yeah, right. So it's a really quick process, you see, of them coming in the factory. We haven't seen any of ours come in yet, but we've had some in already this morning, about 4 loads. So James, just I know we've obviously we have a certain number of loads we're allowed to bring in a day, and we have free loading at the start of the season when you get the factory going, and when conditions are maybe dry and other growers don't want to lift. So on the permit allocation, we're on L today. What does that actually mean?
So L is 100% over each grower's 5-year average.
Yeah.
So a grower will have a 5-year average yield times by the crop area that they've declared to us.
Yeah.
Gives them permit allocation. That then ramps up to a haulier allocation, and that haulier's allocation then spread across the campaign. So 100% 5-year average for each grower is L. Right. The letter call can then go up and down to allow us to bring more beet in or less beet in, depending on what the factory's slicing.
So when you're slicing at sort of capacity or optimum, it's about 9,000 a day?
Yeah, 9,500 a day.
That's tonnes a day, yeah. And obviously earlier on in the season, your factory takes a fair bit to get going. How long does it take to get up, ramp up? I suppose that depends on how much beet you've got coming in.
Yeah, so this year we had a phase start due to some of the things we did in the summer. They like to get up and going to flat out within the first week, ideally, but we had a 3-week phase start this year.
Yeah. This is our beet coming in, I think.
Wait there a minute. It is one of yours.
It is, yeah. So this is our beet in the lorry here. See there, that's ours coming in. Driver's scanning it, and that's the ticket weight done.
And it's a sample.
And it's a sample, brilliant. So we'll go and see this sample, because we're on when James said this is a sample, we're on reduced sampling here, so only a certain percentage of our sugar beet is sampled, and it's done at random. So no one knows which one it's going to suddenly be allocated to sample. This one has been done for sample, so it goes in a different queue, and it's now going to be ready for sample, which we'll have a look at. So this is where the sampling's done. These are lorries waiting, and there's our beet in the lorry. Really lucky to be able to get this going through the factory. So that's how the sampling is done. You can see that gantry moving across. That will start to turn, there you go. And that goes into the lorry. The lorries all have reflective markers. You can see that orange band on the bottom, so that the sampler knows where the bottom of the lorry is. You can see there the numbers, the sample numbers. When the lorries weighed, it gives a ticket and it tells them which sample point to go under. There we are, that's our beet going under. We're now in the sample room.
So the ticket gets taken off the driver.
Yeah.
And then it's scanned into the system. It's put into a blue pot, and that goes off with the sample twisted.
Right.
So position for the free, please. That then gives you a position in the lorry of where the sample is taken from.
Oh no. Here we are. There we are, you can see the sample coming above there. Starting to turn around, there we go. So you just take one sample?
Take one sample into the shaker and then into the splitter.
Yeah.
And then the splitter obviously takes from a big sample for about 12 kilogram sample and then goes off with it.
So our ticket has been put in this bucket that's going round. Oh, it's that's it, in there, and then the beet will be, in a minute you'll see the beet come through the chute. There we go. So this bucket is turning round, so there's only odd beet dropping the bucket. So you can see it really is done at random. Really fair way of doing it. Oh, I missed it. So that sample's a really small sample. You can see the bucket's not full, so just going to weigh it to see whether it's enough or not.
Just about like that.
That's it. So otherwise, if it wasn't, we'd have had to have done another sample. That's the samples there. Lid's put on it. The ticket's in the sample, and those are all samples from other lorries. So James, on this sampling, where does that go to?
So each of the samples will go into a page and they're timed. They go to Wissington every night to be sampled in our central tear house. So all samples are processed within 24 hours of delivery.
Right, okay. And then obviously we can log on the British Sugar website.
Yeah,
is it after 2 AM or something?
Yeah, so 7 o'clock is when the tear house finished. So all samples will be done by then.
Yeah.
Within 24 hours of delivery, you'll be able to log straight onto your My British Sugar and see what the results are.
Yeah, yeah, and that is a really efficient. That website's been updated, hasn't it, a year or two ago, and it's brilliant, absolutely brilliant. That's inside the unit we've just seen going round. There's two different ways of tipping the lorry. They can either be tipped on the pad, so that's a big concrete store area, or they go on the wet tip, which is a giant wash. You can see a big hose here, a giant washer, big hose pipe washes it out, and ours is going on the wash. It's going to be washed out. We're just going to look at the pad where everybody else tips. One heck of a stench in here. brilliant though. Here's the pad. So this is the pad where all the lorries are tipped, and then it's pushed up before it's put into the factory process. You see the different colours of beet, light beet from a certain soil type compared to the dark. That there is where they lime. What's that there?
The presses for the limex. So the final product is pressed.
Right.
And it drops out on one of those 1, 2 and 3 days.
And this is the lime that you can take out and put on the fields to improve the pH of soil. You can see the lorries now queuing up, waiting to tip. The banksman there is just undoing the door. Some of them have automatic air doors. So James, on about us just seeing the lorries tip. How many do you tip at once?
So we'll tip 8 across the face of the pad before we then push back up again.
Right, okay. That lorry door's just been opened. So there's 8 all coming in together. That's third one just tipping there, fourth one backing up. Then you've got 5, 6, 7 and 8 round the corner. Hustler Field Force. I was at school with the Hustler brothers a few years ago, mind you, that is. You can see there's a lot going on here. Obviously safety is a huge thing. It's always been very high up British Sugar's list for a long, long while. Is that the Limex coming off there?
It is, yeah.
Just see that dropping out. Let's stop now.
You can see some on the back of this dumper as well.
Ah yeah, it's in that dumper there. This one's tipped, empty. He's now going out. And that's where they go back out, back onto the weighbridge to weigh empty, then off they go to bring another load in. He does that side so that when he's backing and watching the lorry tip, he stays on the right hand side of the lorry so the driver can see out his mirror. So he'll only undo that left hand side catch. There's 8 loads here, tips about 240 tonnes. See the loading shovel there, pushing this up. So how many tonnes can you get on this pad?
12,000.
12,000 here. So that was fascinating looking at the pad, now heading up to the wet tip. And this is where our load's going through. This is our load here. That's it, that's 29 tonnes of our beet now going through and mixing in with everybody else, going through into the factory. Ready for processing. get a really good look at view of our beet here. There's some, Matt was saying there's some really big beet here, and there is, you can just see when you look amongst that lot. A really good size sugar beet. Just see it going through the gate there and into the factory. So the beet goes from there where we've just seen it being washed out, down into the bottom there, through here, and then it goes back up to the top through with 2 giant pumps.
Yeah, your way.
So these are 2 giant pumps, and all the beet we've just seen, whether it's on the pad, on the dry tip or the wet tip, comes up these tubes to the top, but only one of these is running at once, so 10,000 tonnes a day comes through here. So the beet goes where we've just seen those pumps, up those tubes along the top. So that's where we've got seen the beet going up those tubes. What we've got here then, James?
So the stone catchers take out the stones.
Yeah.
And then we've got 4 weed catchers that take out the weeds to protect the slices.
Yeah.
And then the water helps us transport the sugar beet also clean.
We've got a bit of a rise here. What's going on in this place, Matt?
Well, at this stage we can control what's going into the factory. So obviously anything to the right of here, Andrew, is straight up into the factory.
Yeah.
Whereas here, if the factory is too full or we have a breakdown, then we have to open the chutes here, and it tips it straight back into the wet.
Ah, so it's like a door underneath.
The trap door.
Right.
Just open now.
Just open now. Yes, I felt that. There we go. You see, it's right. Dropped it back into the underneath. So there we go, there's the stone catchers, and there's the 4 weed catchers. So there, all the sugar beet we've seen is in this water, so you can see the amount of water used and why the sugar beet comes in so clean. Go in here. This is where the beet now, it's all been washed. See how much cleaner it looks. Going on the giant conveyor belt up into the factory. Get a good view from up here of the dried. So we've got the big heap of beet we've just seen tipped here. How does that get into the factory?
So if you see in the middle there, Andrew, there's a trench effectively along just at the bottom of that wall.
Where those bars are.
Where those bars are.
Yeah.
It runs all the way along the length of the heap.
Right.
And what they'll do, the shovel that you saw pushing up earlier,
Yeah.
overnight when we're not taking lorries in, they'll be pushing beet just to the middle, from the outside of the pad into the middle there. And then if you can see the numbers along the wall,
Yeah.
there's water jets all the way along. So depending on where the beet is, they can change which jet numbers are turned on, and we wash all of the sugar beet into the factory. So it will follow the same process as you saw from the wet tip at that point.
So during the day then, there's none of that pushed in during the day?
It depends on what the number of lorries coming over the weighbridge are. So if we have a particular lull and there's nothing coming in over the weighbridge, then we can start pushing in. So
Right.
it really just depends on the logistics side of that.
Right, yeah, okay. Oh yeah, there's another one of our beet as well coming in. So across there you can just see some work going on. That's £7.5 million investment in new water treatment. There's a huge amount of water used here in the factory. The sugar beet is 80% water. So when we get a bit quieter, we'll get James to explain what happens to all the water and how much is used. That's our beet as well coming out there. So they're the pulp process. So that's pulp there obviously goes for animal feed.
Yeah, so
And that,
you can see the pulp on the pad
over there,
side.
yeah.
And also the silo which we export pulp out of.
Yeah.
If we're not selling it as moist, it goes to the dryers to be sold as dried feed.
Right, got you, yeah. And the animal feed side, Trident,
Yes.
is that a part of British Sugar?
Part of ABF.
ABF, sorry, yeah.
Yeah, AB.
Foods. Yeah. So these are the stone separators. So the stones are heavier. So the stones what drop to the bottom?
Bottom of the plume, yeah, and then this picks them up and takes them out of the process.
Right, yeah. Does any get through?
No, so we'll have a look at the slices in a minute, but we're trying to take the slicer blades.
Yeah.
And this is by doing this because there's two. So the first one takes out a lot, the second one takes out the bit that's left.
So you heard me saying this morning about how much, or early on, how clean we need to get our sample and why it's important to take the soil out. Over there, that's where all the soil is stored. How does it actually get there, James, from the factory?
So the soil that's washed off in the fluming process goes out to settling ponds.
So just actually before you can see a traction trailer coming in, what percent of that comes in? Very small now.
Very small, yeah. We have three contracts that live on traction trailer.
That's all, only 3. Sorry, carry on about the soil.
So the soil gets washed into settling ponds, and then in the summer we dig that out, and it goes into a 2-year cycle to build the topsoil. Obviously we try and minimise the soil coming into the factory, but we have to deal with the soil that does.
Yeah.
And that's the finished product being loaded back out again.
And on rejections, obviously we haven't had any rejection for years now, but do you still get the odd rejection?
Yeah, so we still, in the samplers, we will look to see if there's anything coming in that shouldn't be doing.
Yeah.
And we'll reject the lorry if needed to.
Yeah, so percentages are really small.
Yes.
Yeah. So this is where the press pulp is loaded. The lorry's just backed underneath there. Might oversee him load. Just about to go inside in the factory now. We've got these little earplugs to wear because it is very noisy. I've been in there before. So that's it for part 1 of my visit to Newark Sugar Beet Factory. I hope you've enjoyed it. Thank you very much for watching. Please do come back to me with any questions. I'll do my best to answer them, and if I can't, I'll get the answer from British Sugar. So part 2 next week is inside the factory, and that's where the sugar beet is actually processed into sugar. So please join me for that update. That is just as interesting as this one. So until next week, thanks very much for watching. Cheerio.